So, good afternoon, friends. Today a little bit late, but there's enough time. We make some market analysis for Nasdaq, the crude oil, and last not least for Bitcoin. We begin with Nasdaq, and we take a look at the COTS report, the positions of Nasdaq, and if analyzing the COTS report, mainly the commercials positions are what is interesting for us. All other are position followers. It doesn't matter if they are banks or financial institutions or retail traders. The commercials are those who are moving the market. And we see now for the first time they have been already at the beginning of March this year started to slowly cut down the long-term positions of Nasdaq. That's a very important sign that the majority of those commercials who are moving the markets knew already what will happen. And this is again the confirmation what I said in my previous videos, that the guys know exactly what happens when. We see here also a very big drop at the beginning of March again of the long positions. And if we compare that to the short position taking of those guys, we see here clearly how the commercials on the same time started to sell down the market, but very slowly. They are building very slowly the positions, and then if the events happen, the market drops. They are very big in profit. You see it here, for example. And then as confirmation, we see here how the positions are increasing and increasing, and I guess this is not the end, it is just the beginning at the certain key levels of the market, meaning very important major supports that they are going to break, and the market will try to break that support. Then we will have a pullback, and that's exactly where the commercials will increase their shocking attack in the markets, as nobody is expecting that. We see here compared to the last week, the net long short ratio has been falling. These are the guys, the non-commercials, non-reportable private investors, and also retail traders who still believe that the market will go up. And we see this is the position of the commercials now below zero or below the average, and that's very dangerous side for the market. We see also here the short positions. They have been adding last week around 11,000 more contracts on the short positions of the market. So it wasn't something unexpected. About 3 minutes ago, this is an official news agency of some independent Iranian agencies, but not the proxies of the regime, but who are working independently. And so about 70-80% of what they are saying is trustworthy 3 minutes ago. And the last time they have been announcing also that Iran is starting to attack Israel, and about 1 hour later the news and the attack started. So they have been announcing now that now This is the case as they have been announcing it at around half an hour. They have been announcing that now Israel starts to attack Iran. On Nasdaq, we see now clearly the last time I was making that video, after I immediately then been warning then some traders on the chat, and the people haven't believing that, and I took immediately big short positions on Bitcoin. About half an hour later, Bitcoin started to crash down and then we have seen that very late, many later times, the confirmation came into the social media. So if I would trust to an agency, maybe this is one of them, but now last not least, we are mainly trading based on our indicators. We see here now Nasdaq has broken the very important on daily time frame, the very important 250 and 145 EMA on daily chart. The market could hold above but broke down, and last not least, this is the current situation of the Nasdaq, clearly in a very downtrend for the midterm. Once the market reaches the level at around 14,000, we are then in a very big downtrend, but for a longer time. And last not least, at around 13,800 and finally 12,200, it will be a third confirmation that Nasdaq is going now for longer term in direction of 10K. We expect that at around here, at around 13,800, we will have possibly a pullback. So for those who are in day trading, this point can be very interesting. The resistance at this point is not a big deal, as we can see that it had hold a very low value, but if we compare here, we have here bigger value. So I expect personally that at around this area we will have a bigger resistance if there is no diplomatic talks, whatever. Also today we are expecting some Fed talk, and the US retail sales will be released. No big deal, because the news that is ruling the markets is just war, and nearly every other action of the Fed and every other action of the news will be released, will be vanished, goes in behind. So breaking that, for those who are using the situation in the trend, you can wait up until the market is coming back at around 14,000 to sell the market and let the market run again. For the counter traders, this area could be very interesting to participate on that bullish move and then to sell back the market again. We compare now the situation of the crude oil. In the crude oil, we have a very interesting situation. In the meantime, not only the war, but also now technically, we have very good bullish support. As we can see, the crude oil could at around 73 to 75 build a very solid bottom and played all around above the 250 and 145 EMA, so holding all the time above. The main resistance is at around 81 to 8200, 81 to 82, I'm sorry. What really is interesting about crude oil, so and we can highlight it, is that now at this very critical level, and that has a very good confluence to the current news. We have now for the first time since very long a time, the last time we had this formation, the broadening pattern on larger time frame, we had this situation around the beginning of the Ukraine-Russia war, and also a week before COVID, as then during the COVID time the market then dropped down below zero. So on the other side we have a decreasing pennant, and that is a good sign of trend continuation, that the market possibly can go to around 83 to 82,500, and then starts then a quick move up, as the most values we see are cumulative, are very cumulative, and has been collected then in this area. What also is possible, that the crude oil doesn't need to reach the bottom of this pennant but start immediately to break out, or maybe possibly if the news come out of the market, then it will open somewhere here at around 86 to 87 and then start to run up. Whatever, I have already taken positions this morning, as even now the oil traders do not know themselves to which direction the market will tend. A correction will be, of course, possible if we get some news that, let's say, Israel says that they are not attacking and they are ready to talk with Iran. On the same time, the international pressure on Israel is increasing, but what we know about Israel is that Israel is not giving a damn shit on what other nations tell them. We have seen, for example, after the terroristic attack of Hamas on Israel some weeks ago, also the majority, also Joe Biden and United Nations, started to sanction and pressure Israel instead of those terrorists. And what did Israel do? Israel 100% increased its own attacks. So they don't give a fuck what the politician says, and personally I think that's a good reaction of Israel. The reason is a lot of people are at this moment spreading propaganda that Israel has attacked the embassy in Damascus, and that Israel has officially attacked Iran. From that point of view, I agree with those people, but what those people do not know is it is exactly the opposite. In 1992, I will show you now the report. If you go on Google and type 1992 attack on Israeli embassy Argentina, if you go to Google and type 1992 Buenos Aires Israeli embassy bombing, then you find a lot of sources that it was the Iran who at first, or not the Iran, but the regime of Iran, who in 1992 attacked and bombed the Israel embassy. But nobody is talking about that. Why? Because the fake news media don't want you to know the truth. And Israel was claiming in front of the international law to make Iran, or the government or the regime of Iran, responsible for that. And of course the Iranian regime has a lot of foreign proxies, is also itself supported by a lot of governments, not only Russia, but mainly Joe Biden's party, the Democrats. We all know that. Jimmy Carter, for example, was that fucking president who was installing that proxies in Iran, and that's a fact. There are a lot of reports and documents that are confirming it. Whatever, we are not going too deep about the policy. And the fact is that Israel will attack the Iran sooner or later. I personally think it will happen in the next coming hours or possible days. But the attack is 100% engaged. Therefore, the oil price we see at what level again, if we compare that level where the oil price started to break these two very important EMAs on daily time frame and to stabilize above that, was also at the beginning of the March of this year. So, and if we go back and we see here also the unsureness of the oil traders made that they are keeping the market or the volume is building upside in the in an uptrend. If they have been sure, for example, and they had very sure confirmation that the oil price or there is no war and they are going just to sell the news because the Wall Street knows it already, the big guys, they know that what would happen, they will then crash down first of all oil and then start to accumulate the position somewhere here, and it's not exactly happening that time, right? And this is then the second indication I have. Of course, this trade is on one side emotional, so I taking the bullish position based on my emotions and the feeling I have we will be in war. But on the other side, based on my indicators that are now green this morning, 2 hours after the Asian Open, I'm taking now for sure that trade. The risk, I put my stop somewhere at this area, so the loss, if the trade will go against me, I will at loss of maximum 1% at that. I can live with that, and then we will wait then what my indicators are telling us. So if you're gonna take that trade, then do it just based on your own responsibility, on the feeling you may have, or based on your own analysis. So I'm not recommending this type of trade to anyone because only I am responsible for my own trade, but just wanted then to inform maybe some who are asking yesterday, I think someone is asking about the CL. The price is currently at 84.61, coming down again below 84.50. That was the level, so the level is very, very narrow. But on the same time, the market can come down again to around 83.80. If it's going down, the next level will be at around 83.50, and so on. At what level I will cut the trade in this scenario, I will stop me out, and possibly because what we know about the oil market is a tricky market. The market will start possibly to go down. It would be then somewhere at the bottom of this pennant, maybe to break or to build a fake break before it's heating up. If this happens and I see then that the oil is coming back into the pennant, then I will quickly then add my buying positions. If it doesn't happen, then I'll let myself then stop out. I wait a confirmation of my indicators, and generally then if the market makes a pullback and then we see that the oil price will come down, in this case then I will go short oil. But as I told you, the oil market had its very special pattern, so sometimes we can compare that to other markets, but almost trading oil is a little bit difficult if we use the common indicators like the usual indicators what you're using, because it has its own patterns. We have, for example, very big traps. In this case, we can say that in the past I have been analyzing this market a lot, and it is a little bit similar also to Nasdaq, that's building, for example, cup and handle formation, meaning that we have in the cup, the market goes up to the top of the cup, builds then a fake down or a confirmation, then breaks up again. We have seen, for example, here we have also sometimes sun moves of the market, but the cup and handle, if you are familiar with that, could be also very useful to track the move of the oil if you are trading that. I used to trade the cup and handles, but only in direction of the major trend. We go now to Bitcoin. Within Bitcoin, based on my indicators, now the medium trend is absolutely bearish, where we had the signal at 30 of 73 243, and this indicator still has been giving the signal that we are going down where we are at right at the moment. So last not least, we see also in Bitcoin that finally Bitcoin started to stabilize and to accumulate itself, definitely below the very major EMAs on one side. On the other side, we have been broken the very important wedge on daily time frame, and now the market started then during the last days to fill this gap, but already has happened. The next resistance will be at the next support will be at around 60. Once broken that, we will be visiting or revisiting the price of 50 to 51 to 52, something in that area. And can we expect any kind of pullbacks? Well, if the war news are negative, or there is no war, and it could be, of course, a possible pullback of Bitcoin again to around 70 to 72k. If it doesn't happen and the market is already in well, we can say insecure times where they don't know what will happen, then we will have the range up between 67 to 68, where the market tries to get up and then revisit again the range of 60. This is the second scenario. If the market breaking that, out of what reasons ever, following at this moment strictly Nasdaq, and interestingly is before the Nasdaq this time starts to move, that the Bitcoin a little bit sooner starts to move. So if we enter this range, the third possibility is that we will stock them in the range of 50 to 60 area in case there is something new about the news. And if it's not happening, everything is going worse, then we will drop down to 34 to 40. Breaking the 34 is very, very essential, as below this level we nearly have no value anymore. So it can very fast happen that the market goes back directly below 20k to 8k. So this is the worst scenario for Nasdaq holders. So this will be then the very big range, 34k to 8k. Is there a kind of bottom? Well, it depends, but I don't think so. If the bears are there very, very strong, they will even put down Bitcoin much more lower. Now, Bitcoin is the importance of Bitcoin in this case is that some countries, and we know who are using not only El Salvador but only some countries like North Korea, Russia, and Iran are using also Bitcoin to exchange money laundering and to exchange the funds to fund their activities, whatever. So of course, during the it's not only guys like Michael Saylor was telling that, because he's not even a zero against those powers who are ruling this market. We must consider two different scenarios. The first one is that the very big fight against money laundering, the laws of European countries, and especially the European countries, and also in the United States, against the money laundering. On the other side, what will happen now if those countries, let's say for example Iran is losing the war, what will happen to the cryptocurrency? So these are very maybe two interesting scenarios. Once Iran is losing, or the government, not Iran, but the government of Iran will lose that fight, of course the number of sanctions will be much more increasing. We will have a kind of, not civil war, but a kind of revolution, big revolution against the regime there. Government change will happen in Iran, and that government change is strictly against any digital currencies like Bitcoin and cryptos. So it would be a very, very worse scenario, as Iran is also big supporter of the North Korea and China. Will the ETFs help in this kind to support the Bitcoin? I doubt that it will happen. The ETFs and even the CFDs do not reflect the value of Bitcoin, as the trend of Bitcoin is held by real owners of the Bitcoin and by the miners or people who own Bitcoin. In reality, nor the traders nor the ETFs, they can be named of BlackRock, Hong Kong ETFs, South Korea ETF, nothing will help or manipulate in any kind, nor in future, neither now, what will happen with Bitcoin. Why? Because all those papers are dependent on what Bitcoin is doing. It's not the opposite. Bitcoin is not dependent on what ETFs doing. So that's a wrong interpretation in my opinion. People say, for example, now Hong Kong is launching big amounts of ETFs, and that will increase the value of Bitcoin, but it is exactly the opposite. The price of Bitcoin is influencing or manipulating the true value of those ETFs. Let's say Bitcoin coming down, all the ETFs go to the ground, and that will be, of course, a bad business, for example, for BlackRock. If Bitcoin is going up, the ETFs and CFDs also reflecting or mirroring that price, they go up on the same time. And we see it, for example, how is happening to my favorite short selling stock, the SMCI. That's the price of today, now at below 880. And we see the SMCI is not reflecting the Bitcoin. So the guy is announcing it and telling people SMCI now above 1,200 person, and we know exactly SMCI is now as alone in March of this year lost more than 30% of its value alone in March. That's this period. And if we compare that to the beginning of the year, minus 50%, so alone since the beginning of the year. And this has happened because this stock is dependent on the move of Bitcoin, because he has put everything in Bitcoin. So the stock has no real meaning. The stock price is going up because Bitcoin is going up or was going up. The stock is coming down because Bitcoin is coming down. And the same happens also to the ETF. So keep an eye on that. Maybe could be interesting for you. What about my best hated friends by me, Michael Saylor? Well, today or since yesterday, I haven't been seeing any tweets of him. I don't know what he's doing, but I can just imagine what he's doing. He now seriously, for the first time in his life, is thinking what the fuck is happening here. And also in Twitter now, a lot of people are more posting SMCI charts and also attacking him for not telling the truth. I think that's a very positive development. Maybe if you are also on the social media, you can make the same to spread the truth. And we just will see now what the markets will do today. So you got a plan. Go on my Tradingview page. If you are on my Tradingview, then you will. Then the link is also below this video. So follow me in Tradingview, because every update I am making then will receive you immediately on your emails. And mainly the very important information I'm putting is below the trading idea. So if you scroll down the chart and you see below the chart, if you scroll it down, when I have been updating the chart, and all those are very important information to trade the Bitcoin, and also the trade plans, you can find them. So the current trade plan is unchanged, because we are working strictly and following that trade plan. All the levels have been hit, all the targets we had has been hit. Additionally, then in this channel in YouTube, then I am updating the news and also the new events, or if something has come new. So you have now two very powerful forces you can follow. So, but in any case, follow the Tradingview page, because once you have been missing, for example, one video, you can watch it later. You get the news then immediately updated and a confirmation at your email account. The email account, I'm not processing it, your email account, because the Tradingview automatically sending that, and you know how it runs. Okay, so for today I wish you very good trading day. Have a nice day, and we will see now what will happen.